Hi, everyone. My name is Alon Harell. With me on our team are Robin Ritchie and Phil Shreeves. We are graduate students at Simon Fraser University outside of Vancouver, Canada. For our Brick Data Cup project, we looked into passing in women's Olympic hockey. Throughout the presentation, we'll review the methods that we use at a glance, give examples of our visualizations and their use by players, coaches, and scouts, as well as introduce novel metrics to evaluate passing. Passing is a critical component in a power play. Depending on the score and time remaining in the game, teams want their power play unit to achieve certain outcomes. Making the right pass or having the right players on the ice is crucial. To better understand passing, we asked ourselves, how can we take all player locations into account and find the safest, the most rewarding, or even the optimal pass at any given time? We wanted this frame-by-frame analysis to be useful for players alongside video review. We wanted to be helpful for coaches where they could better understand their players' risk-reward behaviors when it comes to passing, so that the best players for the given situation are on the ice. We also wanted this to be beneficial for long-term analysis, allowing scouts to analyze player passing tendencies in part of a roster building process.
To motivate how our work can be applied, we will use this example of a Finland possession from the February 16th Olympic bronze medal game against Switzerland. This sequence of events involves two direct passes, a loss and regaining of control that leads to a shot, resulting in a goal for Finland. We'll provide a frame-by-frame analysis of this sequence and highlight advantageous passes for a variety of potential desired outcomes. We will note that all passing calculations are done only when a player has control of the puck, and videos are shown at half speed. Our analysis has 5 major components. We first look at modeling the motion of the players and the puck using physics-based models that account for friction, drag, and reaction times. We then look to assign value to the ice, where we define areas that are under the control of each team. We build a multitude of probabilistic passing models, which quantify control, possible interceptions, and scoring chances. These models are utilized to create actionable, novel metrics to determine what passing angles are optimal for various scenarios. We then use these metrics to gain insight into player tendencies and their decision-making abilities when it comes to passing.
Movement in hockey is complex, and we need to model player and puck motion before moving on to evaluate passing. Our player motion model assumes players accelerate against a resistive force leading to a maximum speed. We add a reaction time of approximately 0.2 seconds, during which the skater will continue in their current direction at their current speed before converging onto their new target. Our puck motion model uses friction and Stokes drag. Specifically, we look at many possible direct pass angles and speeds and create a grid of location time triplets. We will then evaluate each of these points on the ice to determine whether it is a good spot for the passer to aim. Throughout the presentation, we will use location and triplets interchangeably, but know that we are talking about the points in this figure on the right. As we approach giving values to various regions of the ice, we need to account for offensive presence and defensive pressure. Our rink control tool derives from a soccer application, which treats players like moving particles and uses their total field as the estimate. Rink control is a common tool in many sports, but has very little application done with it in hockey. Here, dark areas represent zones dominated by one team, while lighter colors correspond to contentious areas of the ice, which are up for grabs. In addition, we value the ice by creating a simplistic metric for the probability of scoring from any point on the ice. This is later combined with rink control and our passing models to further quantify location values. Note that dramatic changes in rink control are often a result of players entering and exiting the broadcast view and could be avoided with more complete data.
Imagine you're the player with the puck and you want to get it to one of your teammates. When considering where to pass, you only really control the direction and the pace. Successful pass probability is our best estimate of how likely the offense is to maintain possession if a pass is made along any specific angle and speed. At each point along the path, we account for the order of arrival, giving the earliest players the first chance to get the puck. The next players can only control the puck if earlier ones could not. We then follow the trajectory of the pass and adjust for the puck having gotten to each point, accounting for interceptions and offensive control. Freezing the frame, we can see that as number 40 enters the offensive zone, she's immediately highlighted by our metric as there are no Swiss players around her. She's identified as a player that is likely to receive and control the puck if number 16 were to pass towards her. This is a useful tool for players and coaches to use when reviewing any play alongside game video. We can then compare our successful pass probability for the passes that succeeded against those that failed. We can clearly see that our method is able to highlight angles which are most likely to be received by a teammate and separate with good performance between successful and failed passes.
Our first actionable metric is the best case pass value, which is a frame-by-frame analysis of potential high reward passing trajectories. It may, however, come with some risk as it does not account for interceptions. We calculate it by looking at the highest possible value along the pass trajectory for each angle and speed. As a player, this metric tells you how good of a position you might put your team in terms of scoring chances, as well as control of the ice and puck if you manage to get the pass through a potentially dangerous zone. We can zoom in on this frame here and see that Finland number 24, directly above number 16, has a dark strip in front of her. Notice how speed and direction are incorporated here. We account for both puck and player velocities to find which angles are most likely to be successful. If number 16 wanted to thread the needle and put her team into a high reward position, passing in front of player 24 would be ideal. But as there are many Swiss players around her, it definitely comes with some risk. This is an extremely useful metric for coaches and scouts to be able to understand a player's risk-reward tendencies.
Our next actionable metric is the expected pass value, which is a frame-by-frame analysis of the overall quality of any single pass while accounting for all elements involved. This includes interceptions, offensive pass control, rink control, and scoring probability. This metric is useful in the sense that it describes the overall benefit of passing along any particular angle. In a highlighted frame, we see that player number 16 has the option to pass to number 33 or number 40. We saw previously that the pass to 40 had the highest probability of maintaining possession, but we see here that the pass to 33 would be more valuable. It puts her team in a better position to shoot, and in fact, this pass leads to the goal.
Having defined frame-by-frame metrics, we can now look at key performance indicators for overall player passing. Here we show a plot which describes player decision-making over multiple plays. As one goes further to the right, the average successful pass probability increases. In contrast, going further up the plot represents a higher average benefit. In passing, like anywhere else, there is a trade-off between risk and reward. While obviously the green zone is optimal, a coach would be inclined to play the more conservative players in the yellow zone when leading in an attempt to maintain control of the puck. Alternatively, they may prefer the more aggressive gunslingers in the purple zone when trailing to make riskier passes in hopes it will lead to a goal. We do caution that our small sample size has had an impact on our results. For example, it is much more evident that Nelly Leitinen belongs in the green zone than it is that Hannah Brandt belongs in the red.
Here we examine the overall passing performance of players. We find the best outcome by comparing the expected pass value at all passing angles and 4 different speeds. In addition, we also consider the option of holding the puck. We then calculate the player's relative outcome, which is a measure of how real game pass compares to the optimal decision. One can view moving further to the right along the plot as having better position among the player and their teammates, in a sense that players are getting open and moving to valuable spots on the ice. Moving further upwards in the plot is a sign that the player is capitalizing on their available options. Many Canadians made the most of their chances and positioned themselves exceptionally well. As we all know, it clearly paid off for Canada.
There are a number of ways that this work can be expanded upon. Some of the most logical next steps include considering indirect passes and extending this to a multi-pass model, the latter of which would indicate what the best first pass is to maximize the long-term probability of scoring. Additional extensions is the consideration of player individuality. This would be done by including different player heights, reaches, and scoring tendencies, something that is no small feat without additional data at hand. To summarize, we have created novel metrics, including successful pass probability, best case pass value, and expected pass value, that are beneficial to players, coaches, and scouts. They can be used in the film room and for both roster and lineup decisions. These metrics can be easily adapted beyond the power play and are applicable to other sports. The detailed visualizations allow for seamless incorporation anywhere in the organization, and therefore our work can have a direct impact on and off the ice. Here are references. For our full paper, you can find it on arXiv. All code and slides for this presentation are available on GitHub. A big thank you to all the organizers and stafflates for making this data publicly available. We look forward to your questions. Thank you.